Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. I'm here for Queen & Co today, and I want to show you how to make some shaker cards. Instead of using the card kits, we're going to use the foam and acetate sheet refills. So this is my binder of foam front dies, and all of these dies are shaped to cut the shaker inside, and they cut the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch panel card as well. So you can use these to customize your foam front kits, or you can use them to cut the shaker itself using the foam sheets and the acetate sheets. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the foam using my Sizzix, and I'm going to use that window die, and it goes through very easily. It is a little tougher to turn the handle when you have something real thick like this, but it's not bad at all. And so I'm just going to pop out the little interior rectangles there. I've also cut a piece of cardstock to match. Now I'm going to take the acetate sheet, and all I need to do is use a trimmer on this and cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So these are 8 1/2 by 11 sheets, so I'm just cutting it in half and then in half again. And that will give me 2 pieces of acetate for 2 different shaker cards. The other thing that you need to do that you don't need to do with the card kit is make your card base. So I have a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 white cardstock that I cut in half lengthwise, and now I'm scoring it in half to make a top folding note card. I also have the Delightful Dots. That's the 6 by 6 matte stack from Queen & Co. that comes in a rainbow of colors, and I've cut with that die 4 different sheets so that I have a red, orange, yellow, and green. I used the sentiment die, the Hello, from the Heartthrob kit, and I cut that out several times, as well as the blue heart. For this shaker, I decided to cut 2 pieces of foam, and I'll tell you why. When I run the foam through my Sizzix several times, as I do, instead of cutting it, I guess I should do that. When I run it through several times, it flattens it a little bit. And I wanted a really deep shaker that I could put a ton of toppings inside. So all I'm going to do is double up my foam. I'm going to peel off the backing of the first window, and I'm going to really carefully line it up on the card. This is a little tricky with something like the window because the edges are so thin that you have to be careful to really straighten everything out. Then I'm going to take off the top protective layer. I'm going to peel off the backing of the second piece of foam and layer it right on top. And like I said, this is just going to give me a lot more depth to my shaker that's going to allow me to put more toppings inside. Okay, so now I have my shaker pretty much ready to go. I'm going to add some anti-static powder tool to the edges on the inside there. That's just going to make sure there's no adhesive hanging around that would make my toppings stick to it, and then they wouldn't move freely. Okay, now I'm going to take some tape runner, and I'm going to put the 4 rectangles inside the window there. And this, if you were going to just do one color, you could just do the panel background being that color. But because I wanted to do each window a different color, I decided to cut out the rectangles and insert them after the fact. Going around once again just to make sure there's no extra adhesive hanging around. I'm going to take out my trunk, which has a rainbow of toppings. I like to keep them in color order. And I'm going to grab some red, orange, yellow, and the green. And I'm going to grab a different type of topping for each color just to give it a fun effect. So I'm pouring the red sprinkles into the red rectangle. I have some orange posies that I'm going to pour in the orange. I have the yellow sequins that I'm going to place in that quadrant. And then for the green, I ended up using the pastel diamonds for that rectangle. So now I'm just going back and making sure that I have enough toppings in there. Like I said, for this shaker, lots of times I just put a little bit in. For this one, I wanted a ton of toppings inside to really give it a fun effect. Now I'm going to peel off that final protective layer off of the foam adhesive. Remember that foam is double-sided, adhesive on both sides. I'm going to lay the acetate that I cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 right on top. Then I have that piece of white cardstock that I cut into the same shape as the shaker, and I'm just going to use that to layer on top so that you don't see the foam. You could cut that in any color you wanted, but I really like for the window it to be white. It just reminds me of a windowsill. I cut 2 of the blue hearts, so I layered them together just to give it a little extra dimension. And now for the hello die, I cut 3 of them. But what I did first, before I cut them out, I placed some thin double-sided adhesive. I used the Thermoweb iCraft adhesive, and I laid it on the back of the pattern paper and then cut through that whole thing, which basically turns my little die cut into a sticker and makes it a lot easier to layer 3 on top of each other. And I'm doing that just to add some extra dimension to that hello die, give it a little more height. And so I'm removing the other backing here, and I'm going to lay that right on top. And when I have a really thin word die cut like this, I just start at one end and match up the H stems there, make sure they're nice and lined up, and then move along letter by letter, making sure everything is in alignment. The great thing though about die cutting the same color of die, so the reason that I die cut 3 purple pattern paper hellos is because if I don't line it up perfectly, which I never do, honestly, it will not show through. So now I'm going to remove the final piece of backing there off that adhesive and line that up right over my heart. And I'm really liking the way this shaker is coming together. I always feel like it needs one more little touch, so I put a couple of iridescent pearls on there, and I added some Wink of Stella to the die, as well as some Tonic Studios jewel drops. And that completes my card today. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Definitely, if you have those foam front dies from Queen & Co., check out the acetate sheets and the foam sheet refills. They are really great to make any kind of shaker that you like. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a great day.